I think sometimes when things are just not going well or things are not going right, you have to like mix things up. And MK play with three at the back as well, so Adkins clearly wanted to like match them up and play with roving fullbacks as well. Bradshaw just brings so much energy. He really does get down that flank so well. He did it for at Carlisle for the opening goal of that game for the Patrick goal. So yeah, everything all the players that came in today did really well. They all played their part. Khan was immense. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Saidu Khan, and I think him and Merry worked really well in tandem. I think they and the good thing about O'Connor was playing as that third centre half is he intercepted. I mean, he's always been tackling's always been one of his really good attributes, O'Connor, and the way in which he was able to sort of like spring out of that back three to like put in a tackle or two was really good. So I thought the shape and the system worked well. I think it was good. I think the only the thing that you sacrifice there really is that you have the one up top and who's isolated, and I'm not sure Christian Dennis can really play as a one anyway. Really, I think he benefit far more from having somebody alongside him or a lot closer to him. So that was probably the biggest drawback. But we offer plenty going forward in the early exchanges of the game.
Surprisingly so, really, given how few chances Tranmere have created against what I would describe as lesser opponents in Salford and Swindon on the bare face of it. But I said going into this game, I think I said on the review or the news show in the week that this is exactly the kind of game against a kind of opposition who want the ball and want to do the pressing, where actually I do feel Tranmere are more suited to get something out of it. And yes, we had to wait a long time for it to happen, but they did get something. And to be honest, when it went 1-0, I thought this is going to be 3 or 4 here. I thought there's no way they're going to get back into it. So for them to rally as they did, to make the changes they did in the second half, which when they came on, I can't have been alone in questioning some of those changes. They worked. So fair play to them all.
Yeah. I mean, one of the most disappointing players today was Amari Patrick, and he obviously started very brightly for Tranmere, obviously the Carlisle performance, but he just looked very sharp. And today, me and my son were both saying he was overplaying. It was almost as though he was on the ball and he was trying to sort of turn one player and he almost stopped the ball moving freely. And so it made sense. And obviously Morris hasn't played a huge amount of football this season, so he was sort of, it made sense for him to be withdrawn as well. But the system definitely changed during the course of the game as well. To start off with, Bradshaw and Norman were definitely occupying deeper roles in defence. And then and Patrick and Morris were playing wider. And then as the game went on, Patrick and Morris almost became a bit more inverted and played more in that sort of, we almost had I think it was like a 3-2-4-1, because Bradshaw and Norman got really far forward. But MK Dons just seemed relatively subdued, really. Once they got the goal in front, it almost felt like they could manage the game. And yeah, they did still push forward, but there didn't seem to be much urgency on their part to try and score a second goal. And McGee was available to sort of make the saves, but it never felt like Alamo. And when I heard that MK Dons won 5-1 at Harrogate on Tuesday, I was really concerned because we'd lost our last 2 away games 3-0, and we were so poor at Colchester. And like you say, when we went 1-0 down, I wasn't confident at all coming into this game. And when we went 1-0 down, I sort of thought, well, this is going to be another poor away day as well. But we stayed in the game, and we sort of, I was going to say, kept the crowd quiet. The crowd was always going to be quiet at Milton Keynes anyway. It's a weird setup, but yeah. And if Tranmere had lost 1-0 today, though, there would have been still a lot of vitriol coming from the stands, a lot of frustration about this whole the season sort of spiraling and what have you. So it's amazing how different the atmosphere was in that away end as soon as they scored. But yeah, there were signs that the goal was sort of coming, and they were sort of forcing the issue a little bit. And I think the Dons were getting a bit nervy, and maybe because they were suffering from tiredness themselves after that long trip to Harrogate in midweek.
Tell us about the moment then. The moment Regan Hendry hits that ball and it finds the back of the net. I mean, I guess he is an unlikely scorer, really, in the same sense that I think everyone in Tranmere's squad is an unlikely scorer, given how few goals Rovers have scored this season. But tell us about that feeling when that went into the back of the net.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's just, you sort of, it's the reason why you go and follow your team up and down the country. And yeah, the ball, I think Tom Davis flighted a ball over as well. And Norman was playing far forward and he sort of got up above his marker and the ball just dropped so nicely. And all of a sudden, Hendry just found himself in oceans of space, really. And at first, I thought he'd shot wide actually as well. And then he sort of like, it sort of obviously caught the inside of the net. And so it was a cracking finish as well. And yeah, it was pandemonium really, as much as a half full away end can be. And yeah, it was delightful. It just felt great. I mean, it after those two heavy defeats on the road, and obviously they're sort of the two sort of fairly stale draws that we've had at home, to get a point away to a team with one of the biggest budgets in the division, and to score so late in the day, and just the boost that it's going to provide to the players, it was brilliant. And yeah, fantastic. I know Adkins said after the game, "Oh well, we could have won the game as well." But I think that like we were saying, it felt like a victory today, really.